Hello, welcome to Brap Life. Thank you guys so much for listening. It's really, really cool to be able to see the different cities that pop up across the US and across the world, honestly. Seeing them repeatedly pop up is really awesome. It's really cool that these stories are inspiring people so much all over the world. This week's episode is with my friend Kalynn. She's a powerhouse on a dirt bike. She's somebody who's a hard enduro enthusiast. She's an Olympic weightlifter. She's also someone who recently got injured. So, this conversation had a lot to do with her healing and her journey to get through and get back to riding. So this episode's a little bit different, but it was really cool, and for me it was really inspiring. You guys also get to hear a little bit more of my story and kind of some of the stuff that I've gone through prior to getting into this really hardcore training that I've been doing on the bike. So I hope you guys like it, and I really appreciate the fact that you guys keep coming back, and I really hope you guys come back next week for another amazing episode. And we're good. Cool. So, welcome officially to Brap Life. This is super exciting.
Yeah.
This is awesome. So before we get started, how much longer until you can get back on a bike?
Oh man. Worst case scenario, I keep saying would put me around March, but that's just not going to happen. I feel like I have my follow-up 3 months. For those who don't know, I tore my ACL and kind of 7 weeks post-surgery yesterday. The 3-month mark is where the actual graft is fully healed, but you still have a high risk of re-tear between like each month from like 6 to 7 to 8 months is like it decreases significantly between those times. So I bet I could dabble in some easy desert riding. But we all know how that goes. You say you're going to hold back and look at yourself until you're full blown just back into it. And that's one thing about me is I'm kind of an all or nothing person. So if I'm on my bike, I feel like I'm going to just dive back in and pick up right where I left off. Hoping that's the case. But yeah, so worst case would put me right around March. Best case scenario, I feel like I'm going to wait until December at least is what I'm going to try to stick to my guns and hold off as long as I can. But again, we will just see. The rehab process.
I'm excited.
The rehab process has been going quite well. Thankfully, on that side of things, we've been ahead of schedule on most things. So hoping that dirt biking is the same in the same kind of situation as far as everything else goes.
I'm sure it will be. Those ACL tears are rough to come back from, but when you do get surgery, I hear that that's the best. Like it's way better than it healing naturally because just like it's stronger. And like you said, after a specific amount of time, there's less chance for re-tear. So I think it's kind of awesome. It sucks that you have to be out for so long, but it'll be worth it. It'll be all right.
Yeah.
And then your Christmas gift to yourself could be you going riding.
100%. I know I have a big break off from work in December, and my parents moved down south to St. George last summer. So I kind of spend the crazy winter months that I'm off work down there. So I'm hoping that mid-December is my time to get back on the bike.
That'll be awesome.
So, and then I'm happy in the sense of it kind of slows me down, and my daughter will be 5 end of January, and we want to get her a little EE2. And so I'm hoping that I can take this time to just slow it down. It's not about me, get her out on the trails or just even in just open desert flat and get her to go ride and be a little ripper as well. So,
Oh, that'd be so
yeah,
cute. Oh my God. That'd be awesome. I always said that if I ever had kids, like I'm gonna be one of those parents that's like, sorry, but you're doing this and make them right. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, at least those first couple years. Those first couple years, and then if you really hate it, then you can
Fine.
stop. But
Yeah.
you're still gonna dress up and be cute and be next to a adorable little tiny baby bike because that's the cutest
'Cause
thing in
there's
the
nothing
world.
better than that.
Yeah.
100%. I know my kinda rule of thumb is stick with something for, like I mean, for little kids, it's so hard because it's like, I say at least 6 months. Like, give it 6
Yeah.
months, stick to it, like, we're going, even if there's tantrums and meltdowns, like, you're gonna do this, you're gonna get it done, and I guarantee it might not be that day or say that week, but it'll come, and I know that you'll be into it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I think at, some point you know your kids and you know what they're going to like overall. I think
Right.
you truly know like at heart if your kid's not going to like something, if your kid really has no interest in mud at all, putting them in dirt biking is probably not the best thing. If they want to be clean all the time and it stresses them out, because like my friend's kid is like that. And he's just like, if he gets dirty, he has to go change and shower. Like that's just his thing. He's clean
Yep.
all the time.
Yep.
So him on a dirt bike, not a good thing.
Yeah.
But, my other friend's kid, she is just rough and tumble and like she always wants to do everything. And so like she'd be awesome on a bike, but your kids. So
Yep.
I
For
think
sure.
that's cool. But I never got baby fever like when I was younger until I started riding and I saw all my friends' kids in like their little tiny like outfits and I was like, oh my God, that gear is adorable.
Oh, 100%. The biggest, I feel like, obstacle with our daughter is even just if we're being playful at home or whatever, she's a sore loser. Like, that girl can't take an L. So for her, I feel like it'll be a very humbling experience to kind of dive into
Mhm.
something and do a race or just learning to fail in just having fun, like kind of taking it that way. You know what I mean? So it'll be,
Yeah.
I feel like, a very good life lesson, all the while having fun and learning to do the hobby alongside my husband and I, and then our son to
Yeah.
follow, hopefully. So,
That'll
hope
be awesome. So cool. I love it. I love it. And then, I just I didn't get into riding when I was young. So like I got into riding just a few years ago and I'm like way old to be getting into it. But like I always think it's so cool when people want to get their kids into it when they're young and like this is the time they're little sponges and they can absorb all of that knowledge and like even if they don't use it right now, yeah, if they come back to it like years later, they're still going to have that knowledge and it's just like so much easier to have that foundation young and then come back to it rather than try and build it when you're a lot older. Like that part sucks.
Oh, I completely agree. I wish my parents kind of had me stick with the same thing because I'm in a similar situation. I started riding summer of 2020. My husband and I got bikes for the first time. So this would be the fourth season that I'm on a bike, but missed one summer because I had our son. So 3 years on a bike, and then I'm kind of missing another almost full 9 months recovery. It's like a whole pregnancy
Yeah.
all over again. So by the time
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
pregnant and then just healing from the childbirth and getting back onto it, it came back pretty quickly, which is nice. I mean, it's literally like riding a bike, as they say. Luckily, you kind of can pick up where you left off. So I'm hoping that this situation will be similar. I just am hoping I don't have PTSD in a way of just all I can think about is the crash that took me out. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know if you have any advice or have dealt or have other riders who have been in a situation similar and how they overcame that, because just reliving and kind of replaying that in my head, or just the feeling of like my actual knee, it like flips my stomach. It is just not like body bones breaking. That's just like so cringe to me. I just I don't know. So I'm hoping I can just get on there and everything, like it just take a back seat and I can focus and get past that and um just not think
Yeah,
about.
I think a lot of it has to do with mindset. So from what I've experienced, and I have not yet broken anything or torn anything like that. But I know a lot of people who have, and it's just it ranges from person to person, but it's all about how you look at it and how you deal with it. I had a similar injury years ago from slipping on the ice. It wasn't even a cool story. I was like, "What?" Like, I dirt bike and I do all this stuff and like, but I slipped on the ice just walking outside of my house and I ended up with a minor tear in my MCL and it sucked and it took like 7, 8 months to heal up. And that's what I was saying. It's a little bit of a faster process and like less likely to happen again for you.
Yeah.
But for me, like it it was like a year out and they were like, "Well, you could still re-tear it." And I was like, "Well, I'm still gonna go dirt biking." So
Right. Yeah. I know that's
um
one good benefit that I feel like I have a cool story to go with it. At least it was doing something that I love doing. And
yeah.
is it going to stop me from doing it again? No. I mean, re-tearing, let's hope not. But as far as dirt biking again, my family's like, you need to be careful, especially because everything's out there on social media. My grandparents
Mhm.
see it, my mom and dad see it. And of course, like I've kind of started dabbling in more of like hard enduro stuff versus just like fast open flow trail, which
Yeah.
is how I fell, which was fast, open, flat, nothingness, not rock gardens and logs and whatever
Mhm.
else that they may see. And they're just they don't get the sport. If you don't do it, like you just don't really understand. And I've always said
Yeah.
I'm more likely to get hurt going fast and on flat ground than I am to be going slow over some rocks where I feel more in control than a
Yeah.
fast bike going 20, 30 miles an hour. Uh,
Yeah.
so, but yeah, so I don't know. It's funny when I post stuff and I waiting for the text or the call saying, you need to be careful. What are you doing? Like, you have kids, blah, blah, blah. So I was terrified to tell my family members that I had torn my ACL dirt biking because
Mhm.
I didn't want to deal or hear what they had to say because I knew I
Yeah.
wasn't doing anything dangerous per se. But just what they see on social media of just, yeah, I just don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
So it took me a little bit to work up
Yeah.
to courage. I waited until I saw the surgeon to confirm that, yes, I had torn my ACL before I had told anybody. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, fun stuff.
Yeah, I think getting back to it, it's all in how you look at it. If you have a lot of fear, I mean, you're always going to not want to re-injure it. But if you have a lot of fear, that will hold you back and subconsciously, make you make decisions that I don't know how you are on the trail, but I know when I'm on the trail, if I'm not confident and I second guess myself, 9 times out of 10, I end up crashing because I second guess myself and I didn't react the way that I needed to. Whereas if I had just gone with the line that I chose or whatever it is, then I would have been fine. But
100%. I feel
so
that.
I think
Sorry.
yeah, I think that's part of it. No, you're fine. Um, I think that's a big part of it is just trusting yourself and trusting what you know and having confidence in yourself. You can ride, you are good at riding, and mistakes happen. Look at the number one guy in hard enduro just came back from a knee injury. Exact same thing. He had to go and get an ACL surgery as well. And he's the best guy in the world. you're just on level with Manulette and Bickler now.
Yeah.
So
How long did it take for him to come back? Do we know?
he's ridiculous. I think it was like 2 months.
Okay, see, yeah.
And
Like,
but
could I
he's
go to
got
bike
like
lessons? Yeah, probably, but am I going to? No, because
yeah,
that's when I would get in trouble. That's when I would hear it from all sides and people telling me,
yeah.
and, yeah, again, I don't wanna hear it.
And I mean, he's overseas, the treatment is a little bit different there, and he's got access to, like, everything
Oh, I'm
because,
sure.
he's this, like, high level athlete, and it was also, like, I don't know how bad the tear was because the tear, could be minor, it could be major. I mean, it was major enough to need surgery, but,
Right.
I mean, he was posting videos, like, a week later of him running around his house with his girlfriend, like, I think they were playing, like, Nerf guns. It was the
Yeah,
cutest thing ever, but I was like, "How are you weight bearing on that? Like, you just had surgery."
yeah.
So,
Luckily,
yeah,
it
I
is
don't
a weight-bearing injury, because, if it wasn't, like, I have to keep up with my 2 kids, and
Mhm.
I run a daycare for work. So, I have to take care of
Oh,
not only my kids, but 8 other people's kids and keep everybody, and, it's just it's go, go, go. So, I'm thankful that it was an ACL thing and not anything more, but it seems like it's a quick healing process, but it's slow in the sense of actually accepting and fully healing that graft is a lengthy process, and just the PT
mhm,
rehab itself, is I mean, I kinda treat it as like a literal therapy session for me where that's like my 1 hour of the day to go get it done, um, and it holds me accountable because, my background before dirt biking and kids is, Olympic weightlifting. So, I have always overlooked the accessory part of the strengthening. I always just wanna, like, do the big fun stuff and not this little itty bitty stuff. So when people say,
yeah,
"Oh, an ACL, like, you're gonna come back even stronger," now that I'm
mhm,
in it, I completely see what people are saying, and I know that I will come back stronger because like you are taking these months to work those little itty bitty muscles that usually get overlooked. And
mhm,
you're not only doing it on your left side, but you're doing it on both sides. So I feel like just as a whole, when people say that, there's actually a lot of truth behind it. So I
mhm,
feel like, and it kind of goes back into me telling myself this in the sense of not having that fear to get back on a bike and just kind of replay that that day, I guess.
yeah, yeah. There was this girl who crashed really bad, I think at the beginning of the year, it might have been late last year. She was doing motocross and she, like, cased a jump or something. And, I talked to her while she was in the hospital, and I was just like, I'm really glad you're okay," because she was sharing her story on social media, and I was like, that her helmet was, like, super jacked up. I think she broke her back and her ribs and her neck and, like, all of these things, but she was gonna be able to, like, she wasn't paralyzed, like, she
Right.
got really lucky.
Yeah.
Um, and I was talking to her, like, 2 days after the accident, and I was just like, "How long are you gonna be in PT?" and stuff like that, and she was like, "Yeah, they said it's, like, 4 months or 5 months," and she's like, "I'm ready to get back on the bike," and I was like, "Whoa, what?" Because, like, that's such a crazy mindset. Like, I've
Yeah.
known so many people in many sports who've gotten injured, and they always have that fear, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not really sure when I'm gonna get back to it," I don't know if you followed Austin Faulkner when he got injured. He was the same thing. Like I think he broke his back and he was just like, I'm not gonna think about when I'm gonna get back on the bike right now. I'm just gonna focus on getting healthy. And she's over here like, no, I know what I did wrong. Like I know what I gotta do next. Like, and I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
like that's crazy. And so she's just like a total beast. So like whenever I get to the point where like I have something, like I haven't had anything major like that, but if I have something minor, I had a pretty decent like roll on my ankle, and like my ankle swelled up super bad, and I do a lot of running. So like for me, that's a big injury for running. And so it's kind of like I had just talked to her like a couple weeks before that, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna pull my Nadine energy here, and I'm gonna just like kind of get back to it. I know what I did wrong because I was just running too tired, and I wasn't keeping up with my energy gels and stuff, so I just bonked, and I can't let myself do that because that's when the injuries happen. You get careless on one thing. Like I really didn't want to slow down to eat my banana and take my gel, and I just wanted to keep pushing, and because I was so close to being done and I was going to hit my PR, and all of these things. But if I had just done it, I probably wouldn't have injured my foot. So it, you've got to like take that time, like you said, your therapy, like take that time to really analyze what happened and like really work through the emotion. That's a lot of people ask me how I've gotten through all the stuff I've been through in the last couple of years. And it's just sitting with the emotion and actually feeling it instead of running away from it.
Mhm.
That's been the biggest thing. And that goes for fear, that goes for, like anything, like anything that you could potentially have really come up and give you some sort of like negative feeling. That would be my biggest advice. So is to just like sit with that uncomfortable feeling, like really think about like what exactly led up to that crash, and really like mentally go through the crash and like what happened with your leg, and then know that that's probably a freak accident that's never going to happen again, and that you are doing all the work now. You are working really hard in PT, and maybe you're not lifting the way that you used to, those huge weights that you were
Oh my
lifting, which is it's incredible, by the way.
thank you.
Um, you're not lifting those weights. You're
Yeah.
maybe doing small movements, but like you said, it's building muscles that you didn't build before that are going to help to prevent this from happening again. So you're doing the work that you need to do. It's big work on a tiny scale. So you just got to like, because I think, with your history, that seems like that's probably the best way for you to look at things, and just like, this is big work. It is the bodybuilding, but it's bodybuilding on a minute scale. It's bodybuilding those little tiny muscles, because at some point you started, right, with lifting your weights and everything. You had to start at a small weight.
Baby weights, yeah,
And that's basically what you're doing right now.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
To kind of touch back on what you said, like, you let fatigue set in, that played a huge role in the day that I crashed.
Mhm.
Do you want me to kind of explain?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Go for
So
it.
it was, the week before, it was the week of the 4th. My family and I, we flew back to New York, to be there for the 4th, and there was a lot of food, a lot of drinking, time change, traveling with young kids. And so after that trip, I was like, all right, I'm kind of over this. Like, I'm done, ready to get back into a routine. I really miss my
Mhm.
bike. So we get home on Friday the 5th, and it was late. It was like 11 o'clock at night, our time, still 1 a.m. New York time from what we were adjusted to. And I was dead set on going dirt biking the next day. My husband's like, well, should we just wait till Sunday, whatever? I was like, no, like, I have to get back on, and let's go. So we dropped the kids off, and we were at the trailhead at like 8 a.m. And it was my husband and our friend, Nick, and then myself, and we just did, it was probably about 40 or 50 miles of single track, and
Mhm.
like on pirate trails, just hard stuff after a
Yeah.
week of just crushing myself. And it was on the way back, and I felt so good, right? Like the whole day, just rode a lot better than I expected to. And it was the last 30-ish minutes of the day, after, yeah, 40 miles. And flat, fast. Everything is super moon dusty. We haven't had any rain. So just the trails just were not in ideal conditions to just be going fast. And I don't know about yourself, but it's always seems like it's me with the guys. And I love riding with the guys because it makes me keep
Mhm.
up. It makes me not be a wuss and have my husband to bail me out and be like, hey, I need help. Kind of have to be tough and suck it up and get it done.
Mhm.
And it has made me a better rider. But yeah, so I'm trying to keep up with my husband. Our friend Nick was behind me, and it wasn't even a turn or a bend. It was just a very subtle, like little, just kind of going around the hill, and my bike just washed out from underneath me, and I probably went tumbling down maybe 5 feet and got stopped by like a tree, and I barrel rolled myself over the bike. Like I feel like I bailed out properly. Had I not, like I feel like the
Mhm.
bike would have come crashing down on me.
Yeah.
So I just like instincts took over, and yeah, so I tumbled down, and I knew instantly. I was like, my knee. I didn't hear or feel anything, but like I just knew, and like my adrenaline was going. I was just like, it took me like maybe 30-45 seconds to stand back up, and
Mhm.
kind of hobbled my way back up to my bike and hopped back on. And I remember just trembling the rest of the way out. And it was, yeah, on the way back to the car. So maybe 8 or 10 miles left. And it was a trail that I have ridden 20, 30, 40 times, something that I was
Mhm.
more than familiar with. And yeah, flat ground, of course, where you would never expect, but fast speeds. I was probably going almost probably 30 miles an hour if I had to take a guess. So
Yeah.
not slow by any means. And I feel like that's what really just it yeah, did a number
Mhm.
because I had an ACL tear, a little tear in the meniscus that he was able to just clean up. I sprained my MCL, and then I had an impact fracture on my uh, patellar, I think. So did
Jeez.
some damage, but the biggest thing was obviously the ACL. And so yeah, I had to finish riding the bike out, and there was another little feature of like a rocks or a tree stump that was pretty decent, and I knew it was coming up, but I just didn't have what it took to get over that at the time. I was just like, I was shaking. I felt just nauseous, queasy, all the things. And there was a few other bikers waiting in line, and I remember just talking to my husband through the cardo set, and I was like, hey, can you come up here and help me get around this tree? I stood off my bike, and I remember my kneecap feeling like it did a 360 around my leg just from getting off the bike and standing and waiting for him to
Ugh.
like get over this feature. And I'm like trying not to throw up at this point because it was hot. I was exhausted. Like I didn't know what happened. I was just thinking the worst. Like I didn't know if there was a bone sticking out. I had no idea. Um,
Yeah.
so anyways, we get back to the car. I take all my stuff off. My knee was already so swollen, so I hobbled myself around the rest of that Saturday. And then Sunday morning, I woke up and I was like, there's no way I'm weight bearing on my leg. Just, I didn't know. So I immediately borrowed crutches from a neighbor and kept weight off of it. And then Monday morning, I had to work, and I I was like, all right, I had my crutches. I'm like, let's see how we can do this. And um,
Mhm.
so it was an interesting past few weeks as far as work goes, but thankful that it pays to be healthy and fit and for just a
Mhm.
better recovery. Like it really does play such a big role. And I'm just thankful that my body is reacting and recovering the way that it should because yeah, I don't know. Kids or no kids.
I feel like
I have people depending on me that need me, or else I would have been like, what's
mhm.
her face who was back on her bike after that would be me for 100%. But I'm like, to do the responsible thing right now and wait.
Yeah.
And I feel like it'll be a blink of time, like looking back at it, even being 7 weeks post the surgery. I'm like, wow, in the grand scheme of things, like it feels like it's already flown by. Like my 3-month mark is going to be here next month.
Mhm.
So I feel like, yeah, once the cold, it's already changing quite a bit out here. Cold sets in and I'm like, all right, that means I'm this much closer to being to being healed, you know? So I'm thinking,
Yeah.
yeah. But that kind of, yeah, summarizes the actual crash in the fall. Then I pretty much went, yeah, surgeon, MRI, scheduled surgery. I'm like, I don't want to waste any time. Like, let's get the
Mhm.
show on the road. It
Yeah.
took me a little bit to get to that point because in the time of waiting and then surgery, it was about 2.5 weeks. I was like, wow, I feel pretty good. Like, do I really want to do this surgery and go backwards? And I'm glad
Mhm.
I like shut that little voice up because I knew like it had to be done. If I had never planned on riding or doing anything active again, then sure I could have lived my life like that. But no, I want to make sure and like they say, come back even stronger.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's super awesome. And it takes, so it feels like a big sacrifice, right? It feels like giving up time in your summer and, you know, having to basically sit back and not do the things that you really want to be doing. But like you said, it does make you stronger, not just physically, but I think mentally too. It's teaching you more patience. It's teaching you, that it's not always just the big muscles we need to focus on, it's the little ones too. And so it's not just the big things in life, it's all the little things in life too. And that you can take that as any kind of, you know, way to put that into the rest of your life. And there's always a lesson in everything, I think. I think that when things happen, you can find a reason to be negative about it, or you can find a reason to be positive about it. And I think that that ultimately will define how successful your recovery is. So that's just my personal opinion.
Oh, it's so true. And I feel like I said before, it's teaching me to kind of just slow down and make things and kind of like I'm going to take this time to try to get my kids involved in the sport and not have it selfishly be about me and my riding time. And it really does give you a different outlook on life itself. Just even in the 3 days where I was instructed to basically just do nothing other than like go to the bathroom and get something to eat. Like, I'm like, oh, I can't make my bed. I can't give my kids a bath. I can't clean up my messy house. And now I'm like, I feel grateful. And it really is truly a humbling experience to, I feel like just changing your wording on I can't do this. It's like, I get to do this. I'm able to
Yeah.
do this. And I feel like that's
Yes.
been such a good way for me to kind of look at it differently instead of just thinking a negative, I can't do this. I can't do this. It's like, no, I get to do this. Like the other day I was able to front squat with a barbell and it felt so good to be able to do a normal movement instead of all these people looking at me at the gym, like walking backwards on a treadmill. Like, what is this crazy person doing? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
doing something that like brings me back and kind of took me back to like the good old weightlifting days. And so, yeah, it definitely changed my perspective on a lot of things actually. And I feel like I am a strong believer in everything happens for a reason, and
Mhm.
this happened for a reason, and
Yeah.
I don't really think I'll ever know what it is, but, like, I feel like I have an idea. So I'm just trying to
Mhm.
embrace that and just keep a good head on, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I feel
No,
like
I think that's
people
awesome.
can take it the wrong way. And where we live in Park City, it's a big ski town and there's a lot of athletes, and everyone and their neighbor has torn their ACL around here. So it's like you hear all these stories and everyone's experiences are so different. And I mean, most people who have had second and third and so on and so forth, tears with their knee, they're the ones who are kind of like, all right, I did this again. Like that's when it really started to suck, and like just try to not go to like that dark place and just
Yeah.
stay positive, and it'll be over before you know it. So luckily I've had a lot of support in that sense of hearing other people's stories and close friends that can help get you through it and guide you in the right direction and to the right people. And again, just where I live, it's not uncommon.
Yeah.
But
No, I think that the whole everything happens for a reason is huge. That's definitely something that I believe as well. And I, I went through this crappy divorce and I was like, I couldn't see how any good could come of that. Like this is like the end of my life as I wanted and knew it. And, it was so sad and so hard. And I made it through. And then all of a sudden, I just like everything started getting better and better and better in my life. And all these opportunities started happening. And now I'm traveling like I always wanted to. And it's like, okay, things did happen for a reason because I would have been stuck in that town for the rest of my life,
right,
not growing and not becoming the person that I've always wanted to be. And here I am doing those things. And like it sounds really crappy. Like I'm I'm really not trying to just be like, "Oh my god, my life's hard." But I really am thankful about it, like I am like if I ever run into my ex again, I'm probably genuinely gonna thank him and be
right.
like, like it's good. He's got a kid now with his girlfriend, and like they're super happy, and the kid is like super adorable, and like they're happy, they're living their life the way that he wanted to live it. That's the way he wanted to go. And so um it just I that wasn't what I was meant for. At least maybe not right now. Maybe someday. I don't know if kids are in my future, but um you know I'm able to do what I want to do. I'm able to go and ride and run and be crazy. My friend was telling me the other day because I'm doing an ultra marathon next month and it's my first one and I'm running like 30 plus miles. And he's just like, you are insane. Like
Bad.
certifiably
Love
insane
it.
because you're doing it for fun. Like, and I was like, oh, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a big achievement. It's so hard. I feel like a lot of people can be so consumed in the pity party at the time. Yeah, sure, like life
Mhm.
has its challenges, but everything and yeah, everything happens. And then when you just take the time to look at it in a different light, when you're kind of past that like gray area of you lift yourself out of the sad times and you take a
Yeah.
moment to just really think and realize like the opportunities that have come, like something good for the most part comes out of most shitty situations, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, I didn't see it at the time. But it's just been absolutely amazing. And I started to kind of turn my way of thinking around and it was really great. I was like 6 months into running and I was like getting really excited. Like this is cool. Like I've always wanted to be this like runner and I had wanted a dirt bike since I was 5 years old and I just never got to until I got, into my late 20s. And it's just like it was a lot of stuff that like just opened up. And so I was just like I can do all these things. I can be that person. Like nothing is stopping me other than knowledge and I can gain knowledge. Like that's what clinics are for, that's what friends are for. And it was really cool. And then I met a friend of mine and he like injected positivity into my life is the way that I say because like he just like totally spun the way that I was seeing myself and made me realize that I had a lot of potential that I wasn't realizing and I I don't know how I never saw it before because now like all I see is my potential like what can I do and like and that's the direction that I go now. It's just like I'm always, always, always looking forward and what can I do and where can I go next? And, what hard thing can I do next? Because I do hard things for fun. So like, I've got a really scary to me race next weekend. And it's a medium enduro. So it's like my
I
first little
love
dabble
that.
into hard
Yeah,
enduro. And so it's really scary though, because I found out they have arena cross, or not arena cross, enduro cross. And I've never done enduro cross. And so I'm like, am I gonna survive this?
yeah, you
But
will.
I mean, I'm totally gonna survive it.
Yeah.
I might come out a little battered and bruised. And then I went and practiced this last weekend on this little enduro cross, that section that I found, and I came out battered and bruised. I literally, like, my whole left side is like a bruise right now.
But there's no
But
better feeling. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't crash, like, that sounds weird because of what I just said, but, like, I didn't actually, like, I didn't go over the handlebars like I thought I was going to. I actually ended up, like, going over the tires, and, like, I hit the throttle, but I had the clutch pulled in, so it just sounded, like, terrible, but I didn't actually go flying into the woods or anything. The crash happened not when I was doing that, but when I was turning around,
Oh, of course.
my foot slipped, and then I hit my throttle because my foot slipped, and I was like, "Oh," and then I went into a tree. So
I Yeah, I
it
don't know.
wasn't even
Sometimes
doing the
that's
obstacles.
nothing cool. You're
So
just like, yeah, oh, there's so much GoPro footage of me just, like, rolling up to a stop and then I just tip over. I'm like, "Okay, this is
yeah,
what we call on, and yet I just managed to somehow clean and clear this obstacle, whatever, like,
yeah.
craziness, and yet here I am. I fall over in the parking lot, like, pushing."
That's called the boop,
Yeah,
and that is my signature
that's
move because
that's
you're just there and then you go,
boop, literally,
you're
yeah.
gonna hear it in your head from now on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or I just look at something and I'm like, "Okay, don't look off," and I sure enough, you where you look is where you're gonna go, and I have
Yep.
to constantly remind myself of that. But in your situation, I feel like you probably came out more confident and probably feeling more ready than you did before
Yeah.
that ride. Yeah, sure, you might have a few scrapes and bruises and whatever to show for it, but that's just part of the process, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is I was talking to my friend Amy and I was just like, I am good at struggling. I am so good with struggling. And um like I am ready to struggle in that race. It's going to be awesome. And I can't wait. I can't wait for the suck. Like, I'm so weird, but it's just how I am. Like, I want to go. I want to fight because once you make it through, like you make it, say I only make it like two sections in because it's so hard and I don't have the skills to do it. I still make it two sections in, or one section in.
Right.
I learn about what I can do and what I need to work on. Not necessarily what I can't do because I can do it. I just don't have enough of the skill yet to do it consistently in a race maybe. And maybe we'll see. But I don't know. I just I get so pumped from doing hard things like that. Like I was just talking to my buddy about this really hard, like I got stuck at the bottom of a mountain and I had to literally push my bike up in first gear because it was just so slippery. There was like no traction and I had to keep like, like the bike kept falling into me and I had to keep
Yeah.
pushing it over and then try and get it up over the rock and then up over the root, and it was like a mile and a half of up. And it was so long. And I thought for like a minute I stopped and I just wanted to call for help and just be like, "Hey, come and rescue me,"
Right.
because like, oh my god, I was so tired. But then I'm like in the middle, or what I thought was the middle, it was actually the bottom. Um, and I was like, I really just like I do hard things for fun. And this is this is gonna make me better if I can do this. And I want to get into hard enduro. So if I'm going to get into hard enduro, I need to learn to struggle like this. And I need to learn to manipulate my bike like this and figure it out. Because, yeah, somebody's probably going to come and rescue me if I'm in a hard enduro, because eventually they're going to sweep the course, right? They're going to find
Right.
me. But, you know, there's a point where maybe I'm super close to the next checkpoint, and if I just push through it myself and not wait for the sweep, then I can make it to that checkpoint. And so that's the way I'm kind of trying to look at it, because these things scare the crap out of me. I have anxiety, and
As they should.
it's
If it
like,
doesn't scare you, then why are you doing it?
yeah, yeah.
Right? I mean,
So
yeah.
it's just, yeah. I don't know. I'm a little crazy, but I think all of us who ride dirt bikes are a little bit crazy in some way, shape, or form. So
Well, I always laugh at like you could just be driving or walking, and every time, I don't know about you, but like if I'm just on a hiking trail or normal trail, whatever, I'm like looking, I'm like, wow, like dirt biking this, and it's just funny what you look at, and you're like, I'm just gonna go up this. Like we're all
yeah,
a little crazy if you do this sport, but I feel like the hard enduro side of things, yeah, like it's you and your bike, but I also feel like it's way more of a team sport. Like just even regular riding, it's the community that's involved and the help. Like you never really feel alone. Everyone's there and so supportive and helping each other. And like even people who, if you have never ridden with them before, they could be however many skill levels above you or below. It doesn't matter. It's just everyone is out there to do the same thing and just have a good time. Like, I don't care if it's your
yeah,
first day on a bike. Let's go out and ride and let's have fun and do something that's hard and something that's challenging and come out and you just feel so good. Like it's so rewarding and there's nothing else like it unless you
yeah,
do it. Like you don't know, you know. And I feel like
yeah,
my family probably thinks I'm crazy and my husband's crazy because that's what we're super passionate about. And I'm so happy like that we get to share that um and just yeah, the friends that we have made. And next up, I definitely want to dabble in a race. Well, I like how you put it, medium enduro.
yeah.
We were watching
Well, the
YouTube last night,
medium,
and I was like, God, I want to do. I was like, is there medium enduro? Like,
yeah.
does that exist?
So this is actually a race that's being put on in North Dakota. And so they labeled it Medium Enduro
I
because
love it.
like
That's
there's not really any terrain in North Dakota that like will qualify as hard enduro.
okay.
But Dylan has worked really, really hard to make his property as hard as possible to get through. So I was like, oh, Dylan, you're kind of a sadist.
I love
But it's really cool. And I lived in North Dakota when I found out about this. And so I kind of got involved with helping with a little bit of promotion. And um so I kind of was like, well, I feel like I gotta be there, you know. I All my people are gonna be there. And so I was like, I feel like I gotta be there. And then I honestly don't know when it changed over to like, hey, I'm gonna ride it, because that originally was not the plan. Like this
it.
race
I'll
was supposed
go
to
and take
happen in
pictures.
June.
No, I'm gonna.
Yeah,
Yeah, someone's gonna be taking my picture. Yes.
yeah.
It would be hard to sit
So
that.
that's
There's no way, especially just with the name. I'm like, sounds less scary because it's not hard.
well,
It's medium.
and the full name is it's the Legends Schmedium Enduro. So like you
Oh, so
finish,
this is
you're
like
a legend.
an annual thing.
So this is its second year,
Okay.
so it will be an annual
But
thing. Yeah.
okay. Well, I might
Yep.
have to, you can let me know how it goes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Yes.
that's
I'm
a big
cheering
thing that
for you.
I'm actually trying to figure out, because I was asked this question, what keeps women from getting into hard enduro? And I was like, that's a really good question. Cause like for me personally, it's a confidence thing, right? Like I'm doing the medium enduro because I'm not sure that I could do a hard enduro. Also because of like the other stuff that I said. But like, that to me is gonna build my confidence and help me decide whether or not I'm gonna do a hard enduro next year. And so I think that having either like a training area or like right before the one in Donner, they did a women's clinic with Louise Forsley,
Mhm.
and it was free. So anyone who was signed up for the race that was a woman could go and do this clinic. And basically, like if you're new to hard enduro, you can learn all these techniques the day before the race. And I thought that was really cool. That was absolutely amazing. And Jenny Keller helped put that on. And I was just like, that's an incredible thing. I was all the way on the other side of the country, so I couldn't participate. But I think stuff like that really does open it up for women. And that a lot of the times we get in our own heads about stuff. And so we keep ourselves back from stuff. Um, but that's just my personal opinion. So,
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a good introduction. I mean, you have to learn to walk before you can, or like before you can run. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah.
just those steps to kind of lead up. And like you said, I feel like the number one thing is just it's a mental battle. Just the
The
um
mental battle,
yeah,
like
oh my God, starts with a C. You just said it. Um I don't know. Anyway, yeah. Sorry about that. I totally just like went to la la.
confidence, like,
Yes, thank you. Confidence. Yes, it's the confidence leading up. I feel like just having a little bit of self-doubt is what is holding you back. Like you are capable of so much more than you think. And it's like,
yeah,
yeah, it might be hard enduro, but nothing that you do should be easy or else
yeah,
like it takes the fun away. Where's the challenge? What do you gain? Where like how are you growing? What are you learning? What are you taking away from that experience?
yes.
You know?
Yes. That's a growth mindset. Like that is something that a lot of people are avoiding in life. And I've really found that out in the last couple years as I start to grow. It really intimidates people when I start leveling up. And a lot of people are really excited for me. Um, but I've had a lot of people, I lost a lot of weight in this time because of the running and everything, but I had been really sick. So I had gained a lot of weight. And I've lost like almost 90 pounds in the
Wow,
last year and a half. And people
congrats.
are like, dude, you look so good. Thank you. They're like, you look so good. Like, what have you done? And I'm like, well, I run 4 to 5 days a week and I average 50 to 70 miles depending on the week because like I alternate every week. Um, and then I also train on the dirt bike 2 times a week and then trail ride once a week. And they're like, that's too much. Like, I don't want to do that. I just want to lose the weight. And it's just like, okay, cool. But like, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it
And
doesn't
I didn't just like lose it overnight, right? I'm still
yeah,
losing weight. I still have a ways to go before I think before, I'm at what I think I should look like or feel like. Um, but it's taken a long time. It's not just an overnight real quick thing. It's you've got to build and you've got to grow. And along with the physical aspect of it, I talked about changing my mindset and really changing. I've changed my entire life in the last year and a half. It took 6 months of just kind of like trying to figure out which direction to move. And then once I started moving that direction, it's just been like I've sprinted in that direction because I didn't want to stay in that same place forever. I didn't want to stay mentally where I was forever. I wanted to grow. And so many people just don't want to do that. And that's fine, but then don't feel intimidated when people around you do grow because that's what's best for some people. Some people can't stay static. It just doesn't work. So,
having that
like when I was yeah, yeah.
and just that mental toughness is
Mhm.
so important and not many people I feel like can do that because it's not easy. I feel
Yeah.
like, yeah, the discipline that comes with just everything, just in life itself. But when you apply that to a sport, I feel like that's what really gives you the advantage to be able to overcome and turn off the little voices and just see straight ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause when I settled and I was okay with just staying the way that I was super depressed and I was super anxious. And I still have anxiety a little bit, but I control it a lot better now because like I'm physically doing things all the time. So like I'm able to get that anxious energy out. But like if I don't run for a couple days, I get so like in my head and I just like I start overthinking things. But when I run or when I'm riding, like that clears my mind and it really just helps me focus and like really do what I need to do in life. And it's just I absolutely love it. I keep saying like I wish that I could bottle this feeling and give it to people because just like a taste of it even would just be good for some people. Like I love my people in my life. I do. And I just want them to all feel as good as I feel these days because I felt like such crap for such a long time. I was in such a low place. And now I am genuinely happy. And I'm genuinely happy on my own. It's not because this guy married me, oh my God, that was great. But there was a lot of things that were wrong about that relationship and I knew it, but I was in it and I was just like I was so happy to be with him and have him and there was a lot of good things about it. Um but now I'm happy. I'm completely single. I'm completely doing things on my own and I've never had that in life before. So it's just been an incredible journey mentally and physically just this last couple years. And it all started because of dirt bikes.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's the whole purpose of like this podcast and everything is just to get people to know these inspiring things that have people have gone through in the dirt biking community because dirt bikes bring so many amazing people into my life. I have met the best people and it's so cool. I've had so many amazing opportunities and like I said, my life has completely shifted to something that I never really was sure that I'd be able to be. I always kind of wanted to do this stuff, but um and it's all dirt bikes. So I just want everybody to get into dirt bikes because everybody deserves to have like this happiness and this good feeling and everything. And but since I started this podcast, I've been getting so many messages from people saying that they are inspired by these stories. And it's so cool because these stories, the people that I pick to come on here are people that inspire me. You inspire me and everybody else that I've had on here, they've all had some part to play in everything that I do. And I pull that kind of energy in and that's what helps me grow and keep going and keep pushing. And so it's really, really cool to know that other people out there are listening and feeling the exact same thing.
Yeah, no, I think it's awesome. I give you so much credit for getting out there and riding solo. I feel like we've had this conversation of like, yeah, you meet all these incredible people on the way, but like the fact that you just get out by yourself and go ride, like that is the most terrifying thing to me in the entire world. Like I have my husband as a crutch, and I remember the first time I rode without him, I was still with
Mhm.
people, but he wasn't there. Like I had to either figure out how to load the bike up myself or unload it or be like brave enough to ask somebody to help me and like
Yeah.
swallow that pill to ask for help and knowing that there's so many great people. Like I got to the trailhead first and I'm like, how do I do these straps? And just if something went wrong, like I don't know. I feel like good for you for real because I have yet to to do that. So me like adventuring out of the box and not having him there to just literally do everything for me. But yeah, I mean, it kind of brings it back to like the community side of things, and how everyone is just so helpful and inspiring to one another in however big or little that it may be. But I think that's really cool, because I feel like if my husband and I didn't buy bikes together, like I wouldn't have ever gotten into this sport and um, been, I guess, brave enough to go out and venture on my own, and
Yeah.
put myself out there. Because I can be a very shy person and be hesitant to reach out. And I see people putting themselves out there, and I'm like, okay, this is just the name of the game. Like, that's the sport, and it's so great. Like, that's why it's really hard for me. And I kind of want to touch back in a different conversation with you about running, because now that it's fall time and it's going to be so beautiful up in the mountains and the foliage, I'm like, I can't sit here and just do nothing. Like, if I can't dirt bike, I want to find a different outlet to not have me go back to a dark place and
Hmm.
fall into that pattern of like, all right, I can't do anything. Like, I'm just going to binge eat or drink or do whatever it may be. Like, no, I don't want to go backwards. I want to continue on this forward path and
Yeah.
do things that will help come back stronger and recovery wise. And again, it kind of goes back into like a community based off of like running and putting myself out there in other people's like form of hobbies and learning something new in this time of
Hmm.
just recovery. So I feel like I'll definitely have to reach out to you on um, running questions and stuff, because I'll be cleared to run in a few weeks. So I
Yeah.
definitely need something to do outside of the gym and be
Hmm.
outdoors and feel like I'm learning something new, and take this time
Yeah.
to do that. I've never been a runner. I've never been a cardio girl. It's always been pretty much weights and dirt bikes have been my go-to in life for the past
Hmm.
10 years, um,
Yeah.
previous to kids. So,
See, I've been a runner on and off most of my life. I started when I was like, I think I was 12. My dad came back from the army and he had to run all the time in the army, so I got to run all the time.
yeah.
And so we would go running and we would run a lot, but at in middle school I was fast and I would run a 6-minute mile because I was ridiculous, which is insane because I'm really short. So it's really fast.
Hey,
But
us girls, we
I
can
am,
do it.
yeah, we totally
Yeah.
can, but I'm no longer that fast. I'm a lot slower now, but I can go distance and I can do 30 miles in like 5.5 hours, 6 hours. And it's a lot, but I started out at 1 mile. And last April, was it April? No, last February, was my first mile that I ran in like years. And I it took me like 25 minutes to run a mile. I wasn't running the whole time. I was like walking, but I was like serious. I was so upset because I was like, I used to be this fast person and I wanted it to be such a positive experience, and then it was so negative for me. And I was just like, well, this sucks. Like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. And I was like, but there's no way to get back to even like a 9-minute mile without pushing myself. And I was like, well, what else am I going to do? Like, it's just me and my dogs. So my dogs needed to get out anyway. So I would just go run with my dogs. So it it just became something that I was like, okay, well now I can run a mile and I can run it at a decent pace. And well, what if I run 2 miles? And what if I do 3 miles? And it just kept going and going. And I started doing interval running. Um, and then I was able to increase my mileage a lot faster. So like literally in 2 months, I went from running 3 miles like every other day to running 10 miles and like every couple days. And so just because of interval running um and then I've just been adding since then cuz I'm crazy like that. But it it does take a lot, but it also changed my riding, I think, because now I can go a lot longer cuz I used to when I was on my TTR, I think the longest I ever went for a trail ride was like 27 miles. And that was during an enduro. And I was just like smoked. I was so exhausted. And then um when I first got this bike, I was like in the 20-mile range still. And then I started running more. And then a couple weeks ago, I went riding with my girlfriend and down south of here, and we put on 45 miles in like 2.5 hours. And I was just like, no freaking way. I was like, dude, and neither of us were like dying. Like, we were both like, yeah, we could keep going, but a storm had moved in, so we had to stop. And it was just like, we totally both could have gone double that and it would have been fine, but we're both runners. And so, but we were just like, that was awesome. It was just like sprinting like the whole time, but on our dirt bikes. Like, it was so cool. But I couldn't have done that like 6, 7 months ago, even. I've really, there's something to be said about your endurance. Like, building your endurance makes a big difference. But you said you're not a runner, but you have the muscle, which is also huge for riding dirt bikes, especially being a woman. Like, we don't have the same kind of muscle mass that guys have. So, like, going through hard enduro and stuff like that, like, having to muscle your bike up or lift it every time you fall, because I fall all the time. So, like, I have to deadlift my bike. Like, I think last weekend I probably lifted it probably at least 15 times. And these guys are watching me and I'm like, do not touch the bike. Like, I got this. Like, I will ask for help if I need it. But I'm to the point where I'm pretty good at picking it up. Like, I get in position, I give myself like a couple breaths, and then I just get it up, and then I'm just like, all right, let's go.
Right?
And then
Oh,
like it doesn't just completely like take my energy away anymore. So
oh, I feel you. My first bike was a XT 250. That tank was 299 pounds. And so every time I dropped that bike, it helped me in the sense of like, let's not drop this 300-pound bike because I am
yeah.
pounds to pick that up. And let me tell you, I feel like that worked until we started like, yeah, like we kind of would do more dual sport riding, and then that turned more
Mhm.
to single track, kind of like open. Then it kind of slowly shifted to a little bit more technical. And I was like, all right, I
Mhm.
think I'm kind of outgrowing this bike. And then I ended up switching to a Honda CRF 250F, which was two 265, so like 30, 40 pounds lighter, made all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
And it still wasn't a full-size bike, so it allowed me to like build up the confidence of one, not just being smoked after if I did drop the bike and have to pick it up endurance wise. I mean, as far as like, yeah, sure, it's like it sucks picking up the bike, and luckily I had that strength. But you put the strength with the cardio, and I'm like, that's just like a mean combo. So that
Mhm.
bike being the 35, 40 pounds difference, I was like, okay, this is great. Like, this is awesome. And then we kind of started dabbling into more once I had a little bit more of an ideal bike to be able to
Mhm.
just handle the type of terrain that I found more interesting to ride. Um, and and then sure enough, uh, a year later, I ended up getting the TE 150, and I love that bike, and it's even lighter, and it's and it's awesome. Um, so it's been fun, but I like being able to go slow over the technical, more hard enduro stuff because I feel in control and I feel like I
Mhm.
can manhandle the bike and go and do where I need it to go versus just speed. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and I have mountain bike too. And I've always kind of been the same way. I'd rather do just like slow tech downhill versus like open fast flow. So it translated into both. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy what those bikes are capable of if we allow them to be. I
Yeah, I think you're doing, I mean, you, like I said, you have the strength, and then you're on a bike that's nice, and it's not super light, but it's pretty light, and
220,
you
I
know,
think, nothing crazy.
yeah, no,
But
that's
yeah, it's almost
awesome.
100 pounds lighter than where I started, which is crazy to me to think that that's what I learned on. But I'm so grateful for that little Yamaha because
Mhm,
I feel like if I were to just jump right into the bike that I'm on now, I don't know if I would have been a little bit more timid or hesitant or like had fallen in love where I can kind of like start with a beginner bike and then kind of work your way up to that. I feel like that helped me a lot with confidence and just realizing where you started. And
mhm.
time it you may be really hard on yourself and say, "Oh, I don't feel like I'm progressing," but it's like it really is, remember where you started. And
Yeah, yeah, that's
so
a
I'm forever
huge, huge
grateful for
thing.
that bike. So, like, if I were to give a new rider, like, a piece of advice, I'd be like, "Find a good beginner bike." Like, don't just dive right into it because 'cause it'll put a bad taste in your mouth. You might still have fun, but I feel like I don't know, for me, I feel like that was a big thing for me was kinda being able to upgrade the bikes as your ability level creeps up.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a big jump. So I went from the 125 to a 300.
Okay.
And that was a very big jump, but I was talked into it by, like, everybody that I was with because they
Mhm.
said that they all thought that I could handle it, and, it was just my height holding me back.
Right.
So, and I've been short my whole life,
Yeah.
so I try not to let my height hold me back from anything, other than basketball. I used to play basketball in or middle school with all my friends, and between 6th grade and 7th grade, it was cool. And then 8th grade came around, and all my friends were guys, and they all grew, and I didn't. And so all of a sudden, basketball wasn't fun anymore.
How tall are you?
Because they're just like, hey,
Yeah.
5 feet.
Okay. Alright, I'm like 5'2" or
So
5'3". So I feel you on that
yeah,
sense. But,
yeah,
an inch makes a difference.
it
Like
does. It
yeah,
does.
but I feel like being able to touch the ground the, uh on the Honda and stuff made all the difference. Had I gone into a bike where I can just barely teeter and have to pick a
Mhm.
side, I'd be like, I'm out."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I do pretty decent, like, I've really gotten to the point where I can, like, when I'm stopping and starting, I don't fall as much. Occasionally, it'll happen because, like, the other day, I put my foot down and I'll put it on a rock because the rock was a little higher, right? And so I was
Right.
like, "Oh, I'm gonna cheat a little bit." And then the rock wasn't firm, and it like, I stepped on it and the rock went "Whoosh," and I just went down. I
Did you
was
lower
like,
your bike
"Alright."
at all?
No,
No. Yeah, me either. I thought
no.
about it and I'm like,
I have a cut seat on it, but I haven't
"No."
actually lowered it,
I
and
did a
I've been getting, like, all kinds of, like, mixed reviews on whether or not I should lower it, and I'm
don't
just
do
like,
it. If you can
that's
stick
what
it out, don't do it.
a
Just
lot of people have told
I've
me to do it
yeah,
for my confidence, but
right.
I feel like I'm pretty confident on the bike now. There's definitely things that I'm not. I mean, doing a switchback downhill with rock slabs embedded into the downhill, I fall on those because I'm not super comfortable. But I also am like, I'm not sure that having my bike lowered at that point is gonna make me any more confident on
Right.
that.
You're like, "That
Like
shit's hard. It doesn't matter how
yeah,
heavy your bike is, it's hard."
exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, I haven't really done switchbacks before, and then this weekend was the first time, and I was just like, "I don't really know what to do with my weight here." Like, what? So,
Right.
um, it was a little bit difficult, but, uh I'm learning still. I've only really been on this bike since March and it's been a struggle, but I feel like I'm doing pretty good. Um and I feel pretty confident and I'm super stubborn. So I really don't want to. Um and I've had several pros that I've talked to about it, and guys and girls, and they all told me not to do it. And then I have like friends who are like, you should just lower it. You'll feel so much better. And I'm like, yeah, but they said not to.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
But
if it doesn't feel like it's holding you back, I was always like, "Oh, we'll see how it goes, like, I'll ride it a little bit," and I'm like, "But here's the thing, if we're riding the terrain that we're riding, to me, I'm like, there's
Mhm.
always gonna be a boulder I can put my foot down on. There's usually the trail is this big, so there's usually some sort of ledge where I can lean and put my foot on if I have to, and sure
Yeah.
enough, that's been the
Yeah.
case." So,
Yeah.
I'm
And
like,
I've gotten really good at like sliding to one side or the other.
right,
And like I usually just do that when I'm slowing down, or I've also improved my balance a lot. So I can be like in first gear going super, super slow, like creeping like this, and just like to the point where I'm barely moving
yeah,
and just stay balanced. And then everybody's like talking, and I'm just like trying to do like figure eights or just like turns to
yeah.
just keep
I'll
moving
find,
so
like,
I
a
don't have
tree
to
and
put
I'm,
my
like,
foot down.
post my leg up
Yeah.
on the tree. I'm like,
That's the
I'm
hilarious
just gonna
thing.
lean over and then, yeah, I have to get back because I'm like, if I do that, I'm gonna fall probably too.
Yeah,
I usually
exactly.
find
So
something
I
just
just
to, like, post up on. I'm like, "This is good. This works for me."
I had a moment where I fell, and I knew I was falling, and I, like, looked up to see if anybody was, like, watching me, and I was, like, falling in slow motion almost, and I, like, locked eyes with my friend, and he just kinda, like, smiled because he could see it
Yeah,
happening, and I was like, "Oh, man," like, "No," like, "No." But it happens all the time. That was not the last time that that happened, and, it yeah, it's just gonna happen, and that's fine. I did that occasionally with my TTR too, and I could put my feet down on that, so,
right? Yeah,
like and I watched 2 guys do that this weekend,
yeah,
so and they're tall. So, I was like, I don't feel super bad about dropping my bike just because 'cause I'm short.
right.
Um, so because I watch people struggle with that all the time. So I don't really feel like that's an excuse to lower it. Maybe when I get into hard enduro more, like I think pivot turns are gonna suck, but I don't know if lowering
That's
the
the
bike
one thing
2
is, like,
inches.
just being able to do certain drills where I can't comfortably touch on either side or even just being able to, like, tippy toe. And
Yeah,
have it
yeah.
be that's been the one thing, but I'm like, well, luckily in the moment, your body, your instincts just take over and you just get it done.
Yeah,
You know, like, drills
yeah.
are hard. Drills are way harder than just, like, trying to do it in the moment.
They really are. It is kind of ridiculous how hard they can be,
Yes.
but they do make a big difference when you are out on the trail. And I've done several clinics and I've done Cody Webb's online training, and I really do believe that those make a huge difference.
Oh,
And
yeah,
having that stuff to go back to on the CW2 training and just be able to go look at those modules, um because I do travel so much, so I don't always get to be like near the clinics when they're happening. And so that helped a lot um with rebuilding my fundamentals because I'd kind of gotten away from it for a little bit, but now every time I go riding, I try and spend like the first little bit of my ride before I get out on the trail doing just to warm up, just doing some turns and figure eights and stuff like that, doing some like little clutch practice just to get warmed up, and really just get the feel for the bike and everything again, because every single time I go out on the bike, like I like to just like remind myself, I guess, like, all right, because I call my bike Happy. I'm like, all right, Happy, we're gonna do this. This is gonna be a good day. Like I pep talk him.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, you have
he's
to.
my baby.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
I love it.
But and I put him through a lot. So he has gone
Oh, there's
off
so
of the
much of
side of
you,
a mountain.
right?
Like he's gone up mountains and down mountains, and he's flown a little bit, and he,
Unwillingly, yeah.
yeah. So he I so I unlocked my fastness a couple weeks ago with my friend, and I was in fifth gear, just flying down this trail. And I was just having so much fun because I've never gone that fast. Like I was like a third gear person, like max most of the time. And then I don't know what happened. Naomi somehow like unlocked this magical power I had within me. And so I'm fifth gear completely tapped. And it's straight. It's just a
Yeah.
straightaway. And I'm trying to catch up to her, and suddenly I'm in the air because I hit a rock that I didn't
Oh,
see.
no.
I have zero motocross experience. I
Same.
I don't jump. I
Yeah,
don't leave the ground. So I didn't know what to do. And I was in the air for what felt like forever. And then I landed, and I don't know how to land. So I just like let my body absorb it. And I ended up like forward over the
just
handlebar, like not,
months, yeah,
but I didn't like crash. I
like
just like
OCD, yeah.
hit the handlebars of my stomach, and then I like was able to pull back
Yeah,
and like get it back under control. But one of the scariest moments I've ever had on a bike. But like, yeah, we definitely didn't mean to fly that day, but
yeah,
we did.
you did.
And and like I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, I didn't mean to do that. After the next time we hit that section, I was like, I don't know where that rock was,
Yeah,
but
you're
I'm
gonna
gonna go
break
this
that
way
rock.
because I think it was over there.
Yeah, I know. The number one thing I tell myself when I'm riding and just, you give yourself little pep talks, I just say, just hold on. Just keep holding on through the rock.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And it's so true. It's like the bike is going to get you where you need to go. You just got to hold
Yeah.
on. So I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
just,
That
it
was
may
like
not
a
be
big
pretty. It
thing.
might not feel good, but just keep holding on.
Yeah, that's so funny because that's like when I first started figuring out body position, I kind of said the same thing. Like the bike is gonna know what to do. The bike
Mhm.
is gonna go. And there's like a certain balance point to the bike all on its own. So really I'm throwing its balance off, right?
Right?
To be fair, my bike falls a lot on its own. Um, there have been a couple times where it's on the kickstand and it just like falls over, and I'm
Goes.
like,
Mine
what
is,
just happened?
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I was just forgot where I was going with that now. Um anyway. I don't
It's a
remember
it
where I was
happened to
going
me
with it.
too. I'm like, what is going on? Where am I?
Yeah, 100%. Like
Yeah,
the
the
train left the
train of
station.
thoughts, yeah, it's out, yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, it was super fun. Being able to go fast for once and figuring that out, that was kind of awesome. And then I went to Brushy Mountain last weekend, and it was just like an adventure because there's nothing easy at Brushy Mountain. Everything is like intermediate or higher. And it was rough, but I was like in third gear for most of those. And that's pretty good for Brushy. There was a couple sections where I hit fifth, but for the stuff that I was doing, I was like third gear is a lot because previously I've never been on trails that were that hard before, and the ones that I had been on, I had never gotten out of second. So
Yeah,
I was
I was
like,
gonna
I'm
say 2nd
leveling
is
up.
my happy place. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
real
exactly.
comfortable in 2nd.
Yeah. Well, and like
Usually
a lot of stuff.
I'm like, "Nope, back down."
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of like technical uphill, a lot of super rocky, like big slab rocks and like ledges and stuff like that. So like going up any faster than like second gear, third gear is pushing it. I
Yeah,
was able to do it one of the times that we went through that section, but then the other time I slowed down a little bit because I was tired. and I could feel it. And I was like, if I keep going that fast, I'm going to end up flying off of the mountain. I don't think anyone wants to deal with that right now. So, but yeah, it's pretty cool. And I just like to be in new terrain and check new things out. So like I'm really excited to get back west because I rode in California and I rode in Arizona. I've ridden in New Mexico. I haven't ridden in Utah. I haven't ridden in
Try to
Colorado. Like,
postpone Utah until, like, March, if you can.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
And I can join you. I'll meet you where
Yeah,
yeah.
heck yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and if
if
you're
you
there, let
if
me know. I
you
might
could
be
pick,
able to make some things work. We'll see.
that would be freaking
Yeah.
awesome. Yes. Well, if you could pick anywhere to go. So if I tell you all expenses are being paid, but you have to leave in an hour in this magical world, your kids are being taken care of. So you get to go anywhere in the world to ride. Where do you want to go?
Oh, man, I don't know.
That's my favorite question. Because I don't ever know. When people ask me, it's always a different answer.
Right? Oh, that's hard, I feel like, because there's so many places. Like, I don't know, I just look at who I follow on social media and stuff, and I feel like
Mhm.
Washington, Oregon, like, it doesn't even need to be out of the US. I feel like the riding out there just looks insane. Like,
Yeah.
just gorgeous scenery. Yeah, it'd be cool to do. My husband was looking into doing, I don't know if it was a while ago, so I feel like it would have been more dual sport.
Mhm.
I don't know if it was in, like, Baja or Costa Rica. It was something like that, but I feel like,
Mhm.
yeah, that would be awesome, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't, like, if I'm gonna go to that place, I'm gonna go there for the beach, you know? So, I feel like it would be Oregon or Washington. We've done
Yeah.
a mountain bike trip up there, and it was epic. Um, it was it was really cool. So I feel like if I could go back to that place, but on a dirt bike this time, let's
Yeah.
redo that. Let's relive it.
Heck yes. Yeah, I definitely need to get up to the PNW because like that's just absolutely amazing. That's part of like when I'm out here and I'm riding by myself, I'm like telling myself like I'm just training to go ride with like Micaiah and Michaela and all of them, like all these people that I follow too. And it's just like yeah, this they ride some pretty gnarly stuff. I
Oh,
think
yeah,
that if you ride out there, like you have to be a good rider.
dirt
Like there's
bike,
no bad riders out
yeah.
there.
Well, and I just imagine, I'm like, "All right, if it really does rain as much as they say, like, is the dirt just always perfect?" Even
Yeah.
Canada. Canada would be up there
Ooh,
as well.
Banff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Banff
feel like
looks
that would be
awesome.
really epic stuff, but again, I feel like very challenging
Yeah.
what's out there.
Yeah, I see. I want to go like everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
That's
You
part of
can't
my whole.
pick one place.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So like, my buddy asked me this the other day. He's like, "Where would you go?" And I was like, Iceland. Iceland sounds
Okay.
awesome." And
Yeah.
then I saw that it's like snowing there. And
Mhm.
I was like,
Me.
okay, so then somebody else asked me something similar and they're like, "Well, I wanna go to this place." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, that place looks really cool." And so we're talking, I think it was Romania we were talking about, and then I was like, "That looks freaking awesome, like, that would be really cool too." And then I was talking to another friend last night, and we were talking about, Panama and Brazil,
Mhm.
and, which would also be freaking awesome. And so there's all these different tour companies that you can do stuff with
Oh, yeah.
across the world, like tons of them. But because of the fact that I've done clinics with him, I know about the Jarvis signature tours. And so like I really want to do that because you can do it as a single person or you can do it like as a group. Like you can be like a single person and like join a different group while they're out there or whatever. And so for me, that's kind of ideal because then I don't have to try and get a whole group together and schedule everybody together and like figure out. I can just like plan it for me. And it would be way more fun to have my friends there, but I have like weird times off. So because like my contracts are typically 3 months. So then like every 3 months I can take like a big bulk of time off. Like this last time I took 2.5 weeks, and I just didn't work for 2.5 weeks. I was a
Yeah.
bum essentially. And
Are you a social worker
like,
or
yeah, I do travel lab tech.
okay,
So
okay, cool. Yeah,
yeah.
awesome.
So I
Places you
I
go.
absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I can like, I could potentially go to Brazil or Panama or Spain or Romania or whatever for like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
And those tour packages aren't really that much, and they're inclusive. And I'm pretty sure that they include days that you can go to the beach and stuff. Cause like I'm not big on like the beach. Like I like to go to the beach for like a few hours, but then
right.
I'm like, I get antsy.
Yeah,
Like I can't just sit there the whole time, just like I gotta go run or something.
yeah,
Um,
I get that.
but yeah, I think it's super cool to just that there's so many opportunities. But like you said, there's tons here in the US too. Like
So
I went to
much.
Idaho this year and I watched Silver King's hard enduro.
That's a bucket
And
list for me. I'm like,
yeah, it was insane. I was like, I need to bring my bike out here next time because it was gnarly.
yeah. I know. Do you follow Lauren? Mountain
Mm,
Standard is her handle.
yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
she's just in Idaho, and I'm like, oh, that just looks mwah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Idaho,
Good, and,
Utah,
we'll be looking at all the stuff.
Colorado.
I'm living vicariously through all of you, and
Yeah.
I can't wait to get out there again. It's
Another really random place that I want to go is Missouri, because Missouri has some pretty crazy riding out there.
somebody said
Like,
Arkansas.
I've heard that too.
I
Yep.
don't know if that remains true, and I don't remember if it was for dirt biking or mountain biking, but somebody said I wanna say it was mountain biking because I feel like I was on a chairlift, and they
Yeah.
said Arkansas. I was like, "What? Really?"
Yeah. So my ex-husband took a riding trip out to Arkansas with his buddies one winter,
Okay.
and they had a blast.
Alright.
Like, they had a lot of fun. But I think Arkansas, and don't quote me on this, but I think Arkansas is not as gnarly as Missouri.
Okay.
And this may start a fight. There could be just like a whole bunch of controversy that happens because of that statement. But um, from what I personally know, Arkansas is not as gnarly as Missouri.
Okay.
Missouri has like some pretty crazy intense stuff, is what I was told. However, there is a hard enduro that happens in Arkansas.
Okay. So
Um,
there could
so I
be
think there is
yeah,
potential,
or just
but I
under the
just
radar a little bit.
yeah, I don't know how like public that area
Right.
is. So versus Missouri just has like tons of trails that are public. So that could be where the measure comes from. So nobody come at me.
Right.
But um
Warriors, let's go. Yeah.
really. So far there hasn't been a whole lot of controversy on this podcast, and we may have just changed that.
Maybe, right? Are we the ones?
So I really just like I love traveling in general, but then traveling with my bike has been completely different and so fun. And I think I've ridden 12 states now.
Wow.
Um yeah, and all over the country, like North
Yeah.
Dakota and Minnesota, California, Arizona, New Mexico, Maine, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Tennessee, North Carolina, Georgia. Um, yeah, I'm probably forgetting places. I know I am, but it's just off the top of my head, like just this year.
Yeah.
So,
That's so fun.
like, it's
That's awesome.
so
Yeah.
cool to ride different areas because even places that look similar, like Utah and Arizona, they look similar to a lot of people. I don't think they do, um, but they ride different.
Oh,
Like you
totally.
would think that they're similar. And California's like it looks a lot like Arizona. And I went from California to Arizona and I had a minor freak out because California is super slippery, at least the part that I was in, and like the rocks would like crumble underneath your tires and it was almost like riding on a landslide. And
Yeah.
then I went to Arizona and the rocks look the same, but the rocks like hold up better in Arizona. And so you have all this traction, whereas you don't have traction in California. And so I was like trying to go down through the slot canyon and I was just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, the whole time because I was like, this is just gonna like I'm just gonna go
Crumble,
careening
right? Yeah.
down this thing. But it didn't happen. So I was like, oh, well, that wasn't so bad.
Right?
And then I went back to California and I had to switch my mind again because I was like, okay,
Like, okay, now we're
slippery.
in the crumble. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, so if you talked earlier about potentially racing. So, if you could pick, what race do you want to start with?
They do, there's one down in Moab that they do here. I would like it to be local just in case, if I just couldn't I don't know if it's a day or if it's a 2-day typically. Um, but I just feel like stomping home grounds would be better. And I know a few people who did it for their first race, and it's kind of I guess not beginner friendly, but like a good intro. Like they have from what I was told, good intro obstacles that you can do to be able to like qualify or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know I forget the name of it, but um I haven't looked too seriously just because it would be a newfound um discovery, I guess.
I
'Cause
think that one was in like March or April last year. No, it had to have been March.
yes, I
It had
think
to
it
have been
it
March.
was yeah, I think it was March. Um, so that would be probably the one that I would look into doing. And I haven't ridden out in Moab yet, over there as far as desert compared to St. George. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I feel like that would be a fun one because I've been on this bike now. It'll be a year October when I got it.
Yeah.
So just under a year with being on this bike because there's no way I would have
Heck
even
yeah.
really attempted or did a lot of the riding that we have done thus far before crash on my
Yeah.
Honda. So
Yeah.
kind of just getting, yeah, dip my foot in the water and I love it. Now I have to get my husband convinced to get a 2-stroke because all of our friends are on 2-strokes and he's still on his 350. Um, and I keep telling him, I'm like, just go take my bike out. Go take my bike out. But I think he
Mhm.
hesitates knowing he will fall in love, even on little 150. And I think he would get a 300. He keeps saying it. I'm like,
Yeah.
just go buy the bike already.
Yep.
Give you permission. Go
Yeah.
do it. Yeah.
Heck yes. Dude, if
Yeah.
my husband had told me that, I would have been like gone.
Go.
Like I would have been there in a heartbeat. Like
Right. Yeah.
I have
So
a problem.
I think he'll pull the trigger probably when I can ride again. Just knowing that he kind of likes fast and flow, so his 350 has been good to him. But
Mhm.
what our friend group who we typically ride with is definitely more hard enduro style. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
That's so cool. I'm like
"Mm,
so
dark
excited. And I'm
side.
like,
Yes.
hmm, how can I be in Utah in
March.
March to make this
Yes.
happen?
Or
Like,
even later. Say, yeah, whenever it could be, just after March or after.
yeah.
Like a little bit of time to get the dust off, you know?
Well, yeah. No, I think that you're gonna surprise yourself though. I think that when you come back, just after talking to you so much, like your personality, I feel like you're gonna push hard and you're gonna come back and you're like gonna very, very quickly be where you were and then be leveling up from where you were. So I could totally see that happening. I could totally see you doing that hard enduro and just freaking rocking it. My best friend did that one this year and she did it like she went just to go watch because she's from Arizona.
Okay.
And she ended up getting in because I think it was sold out or something. And she was able to ride in somebody else's place because somebody dropped out or something. And so she wasn't really planning on doing it. And then that morning she texted me and she's like, guess what? I'm riding the Moab Hard Enduro. And I was like, whoa. But
Yes.
I mean, she rides hard enduro anyway. She's
Yeah.
badass. But yeah, it was just super funny because she wasn't really planning on it. She had just been riding in the area. And so it was just super funny. But she did like that one.
Did.
Um and we have talked about that one before because I was trying to figure out if I do decide to do hard enduro next year, what's the first one that I want to do? Because my friend told me Donner, and that one's in like I think typically it's in
Okay.
May or June, and so I was like, okay, Donner would be cool. That's in California, not bad, but that's all the way in California. And I
Yeah.
don't know where I'm going to be. So I was like, well, maybe I'll just go to Arizona and do the Arizona one. But then Grinding Stone is intense
Right.
looking. Like, oh, it's scary looking. So I was like, maybe not. It's like more visually intimidating than anything, but I don't know if I'm ready for that. Um, so Moab was one that she and I had talked about. And then a bunch of people keep telling me to do TKO. And I'm like, that's like a year away. So I feel like that's probably the most doable one just because like a year from now I'll probably have the skills to be able to do it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And then I'm like, do I want to wait that long is the thing? And like, do I have the patience to wait that long?
Right.
Like,
It's just the patience thing. But I'm like, what you gain in a year can like just make all the difference as far as
yeah.
and not like, oh shit, what did I get myself into? And like, I'm ready for
Probably
this.
still gonna have that
I'm not
moment
having to, like,
anyway, but
check it out, but just to be like, "I'm ready, I put in the work, I'm trained, like, let's go."
yeah. Well, and then that's the other thing is like, how hard do I want to train for something like that? Like, am I training to do it? Because I feel like I could just go and do it as
Right.
is. Like, I like work on technique on the bike, yeah. But like, am I gonna push super hard? Like, I have a lot of friends who are pros and who work really hard. They have like their nutrition dialed in and everything. I'm doing that right now because I'm training for my ultra.
Right.
So like, do I just continue that and just keep going and essentially just train for this like ambiguous hard enduro that I haven't decided on yet?
Yes.
Or like
The answer is yes.
and then people will be like, well, what are you training for? And be like, yep.
Yeah. Like, if
Just
I'm gonna
not really have an
do
answer.
something like that, like, I'm gonna do it and commit myself and, like, go in, like, in the best shape and all the things, you know? Like, I feel like it
Yeah.
would be well worth waiting the year to, like, to not just to do it, but, like,
Yeah.
do it good and do it well and at as best as you can, and then it's like, I feel like it'll give you a good gauge to, like, what to really break down and dial in training for the next one, you know?
Yeah. And I'm kind of like trying not to get too into my head yet because I have that race next weekend. And I feel like that race next weekend is going to really like humble me or it's going to give me a big head.
Yeah, it's a
I
good
I have a feeling it's going to humble me, I'm pretty
yeah.
sure. I'm pretty
I
sure.
I
But
feel like it'll be pretty level, like, pretty balanced as far as, you know?
or yeah, I mean, it could be that I go in and it's exactly the way that I think it's gonna go, and and not feel bad about it, and not feel terribly fantastic about it because I don't know. I feel like no matter what, as long as I don't get hurt, I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna
Yes.
be really excited that I did it. I think I'm gonna have like just a huge amount of confidence coming out of it, just because that's how I am. But I don't know. You never know. It's such an unknown thing for me because I've done two enduros in the past and I got DNF on both of them. because I was really slow. And this was like the last one was like a year ago, over a year ago. And I've done one hair scramble and I finished the hair scramble and I was like the third to last person. So like I'm not super competitive. I just like to do it for the experience. But for whatever reason with hard enduro, I'm like I want to I want to push as hard as I can and go as far as I can because I know a lot of times people don't finish. So like you don't have to finish. You just have to get further than everyone else in your class. So
Right.
I'm like, mm, so what if I do finish though? Like, what if I can?
Yeah.
Because that says a lot. So that's kind of, I
That's
think, my
such a
goal.
good goal is just to finish. Who cares where? And I feel like if I were to ever do, not that I ever would, but like just a regular motocross race, I'd be like, oh, I'm
Mhm.
slow, I'm getting lapped. And it's like, it would just kill me inside. I'd be like, I suck. I throw in the towel. Where like, if you're going through a gnarly obstacle and you're getting it done, and who cares if someone's passing you? I feel like it's so different. It doesn't really feel like a race in a sense, like watching
Mhm.
people just blow by you, I feel like
Yeah.
the one person kind of waits because that's the line, or you're in their way, or you'll have this one person go, but watching them pass you, if I watch somebody do something before me, I'm like, I learn. I can see, I was like, oh, I like that, or I'm looking at a different line or whatever. I don't feel like it would
Yeah.
be as devastating as watching just yourself getting just just lapped. Like,
I think as long as you understand that like Tristan Hart, Cody Webb, Ryder LeBlond, Will Reardon, they're gonna come and fly by you no matter
oh
what.
yeah,
Because
right.
like they're gonna do laps
That's just it.
around
But I'd
everyone.
be like, hey, I'm in the same race as they are. Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
really cool.
Yep. I
So
think that would be really awesome. Just to be like, I mean, usually AMs qualify at a different time or whatever, but yeah, still be like, I'm doing the same part of
right.
the same course
Same,
as
yeah.
them.
We're riding the
Be so
same
cool.
things. It might just be less times or whatever, but
Yeah.
still doing the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's super cool. I'm super stoked. I really want to see you do this hard enduro next year. That'd be so awesome.
I think I just might, as long as everything keeps going the way that it's going with recovery, and even just picturing myself getting back on a bike, I feel like I'm going to have slowed down so much that I kind of get to relearn and clean up my techniques and do
Mhm.
it with like a little bit more finesse, and
Yeah.
kind of just have more control and just really kind of have that be my main focus, you know?
Mhm.
Um, so I feel like, okay, I'm going to go back and be able to like do all these things that I wasn't able to do before. Sounds crazy,
Yeah.
but I feel like that's kind of what I can see and feel.
No, and I think like going back to in the beginning, we talked about that mindset. I think that you have the perfect mindset for coming back to it and not letting your fear hold you back. And I think that that's super, super important. And like I said, just from talking to you today, I just see you getting back on that bike and just leveling up super quickly because you are going to be able to clean up those habits and you're just going to be able to like, I feel like things are going to click for you. And you're just going to be like, all right, yeah, I got this. And so if you sign up for that hard enduro, I will make sure that I am there.
Yes.
Whether I'm riding next to you or
Yes.
I'm just taking pictures,
Whatever it
I
may
will
be.
be there.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the deal.
Heck
Yeah,
yes. I love
that is the deal.
it.
As there's like a little kid on his dirt bike zooming down the street right now. How cute.
Aw.
Love it. I know
No.
I have a new graphics kit to put on my bike, and gonna probably hopefully do that this
Ooh.
weekend. I know I've had it for a few weeks and I was like itching for it to come, and then it finally comes and it's been sitting in my closet. So I'm like, but I feel like I'm purposely putting it off because I know once that's on there, I'm gonna be like, let's go.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
trying to like just stay away and just let her rest in the garage.
Yep.
Get some more art on.
I completely understand that. Like I've been trying not to ride these past few days and just give my body some time to heal. And I needed to run. I needed to get some miles in. So my bike has just been sitting and like there's a couple things that I've wanted to do to get it ready for the race and I'm just like not trying to touch it cuz I know if I do, I'm going to want to ride it and I'm
Uh-huh.
going to be like,
Yep.
all right, like I have no self-control when it comes to
Yeah.
that. So I just gotta leave it alone. But my bike makes me happy, so why would I want to have self control with it? You know what I mean? Like he's
That's
named Happy for a reason.
yeah.
So
It's
I
like
could just
the
sit
day.
on my bike. I
Yeah.
could just sit on it in the garage and just be happy on it. Like that's all I need.
I
And
know.
then I'll sit there for like a little bit and then I'll be like, okay, I need to go ride. I
Right.
really need to go ride.
I know. I asked my PT the other day. I was like, what can't I do right now? And he's like, you can't leave the ground. So no jumping or running right now. No traditional barbell deadlifts
Mhm.
and no dirt biking. I'm like, oh, that hurts. I'm like,
I
oh,
like how he saved that one for last. Like
yeah.
he did that on
I was like,
purpose.
and yeah. And then he said that. I'm like, oh, I felt that.
Oh, sadness.
Yeah. We'll revisit that in 30, 40-ish days. I can make it to 40
Yeah,
days. That's fine.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
So
I'm
when you jump back on your bike, are you planning on doing any kind of like formal training or clinics or anything? Or are you just like
I would
YouTube
love
videos or just what you do?
I would love to do a clinic because everything that like riding wise this far has just been self-taught. I haven't had any like official coaching. I've kind of had my husband guiding me, but we got bikes at the same time.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of just been watching like tutorial videos or seeing somebody
Mhm.
do this. I'm like, I want to try that. And then kind of just figuring it out as we go. So I would love to definitely have some form of coaching, guidance, mentoring,
Mhm.
whatever it may be, getting back into things for sure. Obviously, traveling and stuff with kids is difficult. So it
Yeah.
would be something local. But there's plenty of things that are run around the time that I will be back,
Mhm.
cleared to ride down south. So definitely, yeah, keeping my eyes open for who and what clinic it may be.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you if there's not anything like right in that time frame when you get back on, sometimes winter's kind of harder or like, that early spring is a little harder cuz people haven't started their schedules
Yeah.
yet.
Right.
Um so I do the CW2 program, like I said, Cody Webb's program online, and I love that because he's got like all the fundamental stuff on there. So like everything from like setup on your dirt bike, which he actually goes pretty in depth with, and I really liked it. Because it just like reinforced like, oh, okay, maybe I should move my bars, or my levers a little bit because I didn't realize that they had like shifted a little, and I was like,
Right.
oh, okay. But like just as I was going through the modules, it's like little things like, oh, okay, this is what I should do for maintenance for my bike. That's something that I'm really new to having to do myself because I had people to do it for me all this time. So, um, and then it goes all the way into like your different drills, like your clutch control, your braking, cornering, all of that stuff. But then he also has modules for like um, doing like double blips and getting over obstacles and things like that. So, and you can just like go back and revisit and you can pause and, there's videos and then there's text. And I think it's a really well laid out program for if you can't get into a clinic like right away.
Yeah.
So, and then you also have access to that entire community where you can like, a lot of people like post their videos because they record themselves doing stuff and they're like, hey guys, like check it out. And then we can all like give feedback. And it's really awesome because it's not like putting it on Instagram and
Right.
it's not like people being jerks. It's like a
Totally, yeah.
totally positive community and
Actually
everybody is
helpful.
just exactly.
Yeah.
And
And from
Cody's on
people who
there.
know what they're talking about. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So
Yeah.
like it's your peers, so it's called, they
Yeah.
call it the herd because Cody Webb is like the goat and so
Okay.
it's his goat
Yeah.
herd. Um so yeah, like the herd will like give their opinions and Cody will come in and like he'll give his opinion too and he'll let you know like what he thinks and it's really really cool. I think it's a really awesome platform for like I said, I do clinics. I like clinics in person because I am so small and things sometimes have to be modified for me because I'm small. I can't always do things the same way that everyone else can. But for those times that I can't do that, um and it's just a really nice option and it's affordable. That's the best part. It's not like $150 a month. It's
Right.
$20 a month.
Yeah.
Like that's freaking awesome. I think your first 7 days are free. So like you can just like go in and check it out and be like, "Oh yeah, I don't want to do this. Like
Yeah.
this isn't going to give me anything." Or just be like me, I was in it for like 4 hours and I was looking around and I was like, "Oh, this is really cool." And then I just signed up like for the permanent thing.
Yeah.
So
No,
like
I'll definitely look into that for sure because that I think will also be a good like ease back into it instead of trying to pick like, hey, what's my first ride going to be? Like thinking all those things.
yeah.
It's kind of like, let's get back on the bike and just kind of start with the basics again
Yeah.
and just get comfortable and just, yeah, kind of get the like muscle memory back.
Yeah.
Or that,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think this is so awesome. I'm so excited about this and we're going to like have to have you come back on in like 6 months or so and have you like give an update because like I'm so excited to see. Like I said, I just think that you're just going to like skyrocket after this. Like it's going to
I
be
hope
so
so.
cool to see you and just see you rock it. It's going to be great. And then you said you're getting your daughter on a bike too, so then
Yeah.
that's going to be really
Yeah.
awesome.
So I'll put that on Instagram and see how
Heck yes. Oh my god, that'll be so
backyard
cute.
on there and stuff. So she's convinced that she wants it and her boots and her helmet. So we definitely have to gear that child up and see what she can do. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I would love to come back on with an
Yeah.
update and see where we're at and then hear your experience with your races and stuff. And yes. So I'll be looking
Yeah.
for that for sure. And good luck
Cool.
with your ultra.
Thank you.
Is really, really awesome.
Thank you. I'm a little nervous. I was originally supposed to do it in Minnesota with my friend and she ended up having to work. So she got scheduled to work and she can't get out of it. Um so I was like, "Oh man, well nobody was going to come and support me for the race." So I was like, "Well, why am I even going to go spend all that money?" And then I found out there's one here like less than an hour from my house.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'll just stay here and save the money and go do this one here. So I signed up for it. And then I was talking to my friend about it and he's like, "Did you just say you're going to run a mountain?" And I was like, "Yeah, but it's like it's Doe Mountain, like I ride it." And he's like, "Okay, I want you to tell me what the elevation is that you're going to be running compared to what you were going to run in Duluth." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So I look it up. It was like Duluth was going to be like 3,200 feet total of like loss and gain.
Yep.
And here, the gain is, I think it's 6,800 feet.
Woo! Double. Hey, if you're
I
gonna
was like,
do it. Like,
I have not been training for that. I've been training for the mileage, not the elevation.
yeah,
So,
elevation, yeah, but I mean, you'll
mhm,
push through it. Yeah. Yes.
I do hard things for fun. I
Exactly.
I was I was running yesterday and I got chased by this dog and I like sprinted away from it and like as it started to slow down, I tripped and I fell into the woods.
No.
Thankfully, I think that's all the dog wanted because it looked like it was laughing at me. Suddenly it wasn't like its hair wasn't up, it wasn't growling anymore,
Right.
it was wagging its tail and I was like, "You're an
Yeah,
asshole."
you're like, "Thanks for, yeah, scaring me."
Yeah. So I fell and my knee looks like it went through a cheese grater and my knee was just like dripping blood all down my leg and I was like this is cool.
Yeah.
So I go to try and run and just like it spurts blood out and like all these rocks come out and I was like, "Huh,
Cool.
that's
Here we are.
interesting."
Yeah.
So I took part of my pants and I like wrapped it and I was like, I do hard things for fun.
Let's keep
I'm
going.
like almost 2 miles away from my car at this
Yeah.
point. So I was like, I gotta get back.
Yep.
So
I make it
I
back.
ran back and I was like, cool, this really hurts. But the whole time was just, I do hard things for fun. It's
Uh-huh.
fine.
Yeah, just like their
Fine.
baby.
And
Holding on. Just keep holding on.
exactly. Exactly. As long as you have your little chant, you will make it through
Uh-huh,
anything. I'm
yes.
a firm believer in that.
Yep. Mental toughness trumps all. You can
Yes.
get past that, you can do anything.
I really think that that's true though, because like I said, when I was doing those switchbacks, as soon as I started second guessing myself, that's when I would fall.
Mhm.
And when I see something like whether it's riding or running, and I'm like, I can get up that, I make it up it. But if I go, huh, no,
Yeah.
I never make it up, and it's just like you totally like I don't want to say manifest it because that sounds like super weird, but that's like you decide whether or not you're going to do the thing. Like you have a limitation that you put on yourself.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe you don't have the skill to make it up that thing, but if you decide to commit and try it, you got to fully commit.
You might
And
surprise yourself,
exactly.
and you usually
So yeah, I really try to just hold to that now, and, like, sometimes on the trail, I'll still catch myself, and I'll be like, "I'm gonna die," but it's always a song, and
yeah,
it's always
just
if
sing
I
to
say it
yourself when in doubt, yeah.
yeah, and if I say it, it doesn't happen, like, if I say, like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna die, this trail is ridiculous, like, this is the death, bye, guys," like
Right?
and then it doesn't happen, it's just like I'm trying to call in the opposite or whatever,
Oh,
but,
totally. It's like if
like,
you look at a feature,
my version of
it's like
yeah.
you have enough time to talk yourself out of it versus not having any time and you just go for
Just
it.
do it.
Just
Yep.
end it. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. I do so much better on an obstacle if I just like come around the corner and I do it because I
Go.
don't have that time to
Right.
sit
Right.
there and get in my head
Right.
about it.
I'm
I
scared.
I and I can
What
come
if?
back down and go back and do it again. But if I stop to analyze it, a lot of the times I can't make it because I just start thinking too much. Or whoever I'm with, if I'm with somebody, they're like, oh, yeah, well, just do this and do this and then do this and then do that. And then I'm like, you just said 85 words and
Yeah.
I don't even know what they mean.
Yeah. I get that. That is definitely one thing that my husband would be like, "Don't do this or do this." I'm like, "Shh. Let me just do it."
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Just let
stop
me.
talking me through it. Like, yes, kind of talk me through, but just like wait at the same time. Like, if there's been
Yeah.
one thing that has changed, it's like I'm not gonna get off my bike, stop to go walk, to go look at this feature or whatever. Like, I'm gonna look at
Yeah.
it, either watch you do it, and hopefully you don't fall because if you fall, I'm gonna fall the exact way that you fell. Or you clear it and I'm like, okay, cool, got it. And then hopefully be successful doing it. But yes, I cannot take the time to like stop, sit, look, think, walk up to it, look around. Yeah. Have a seat.
Yeah.
Like, no, let's just do it.
I love it. I love it. Well, in our last few little minutes here, when you start your daughter on her bike, what's going to be the best advice that you're going to give her? Like, what's the best piece of advice you got when you were beginning?
Get back up and try again. Unless there's blood, get up and try again. Like,
Yeah.
no quitting.
I like that.
Yeah. You can cry, but I'm gonna make you keep going. That's it.
Yeah.
There's no options. But I'm also, like, tough and hard on them like that to, like, it's okay to fail. Get
Yeah.
back up and try again. Like,
Yep.
and I feel like now that I've fallen and had a big injury, I can use that and say, "Remember when mommy fell and got hurt? Like, I got back
Mhm.
up and I kept going and I'm gonna ride this bike again." So I feel like just really getting them tough mentally
Mhm.
is it might not be pretty, it might seem harsh and mean, but it'll be well worth it in the end to get those little kids' heads right, you know?
Yeah. I think that's so important. I think that a lot of people don't really focus on that, and they, for lack of a better term, coddle their kids. And I feel like if you don't prepare them for the hard things, for the times that they are going to fall down, that it makes it that much harder on them,
Right,
because real life isn't going to take it easy on them. They're going to have to go through hard things. And as much as you are going to try to protect them, you can't protect them from everything. So, um, I think that's really awesome. And like I said, this just goes back to more of what I see as your inspiration to push hard when you get back on your bike. Now you've got your kids looking at you too, and it's just, oh,
they're
I
always
can't
watching.
wait.
Yeah, they're always
Yeah.
watching, so it's like, yeah, it's not only proving it to myself, but to them and,
Hmm.
having, like, they're obsessed with mom's bike, dad's bike, whatever, so whatever kind of positive outlook that I can give to them and kinda just preach to them, and regardless of if it's ugly or you fail or you succeed, like, we're gonna keep trying. That's
Hmm.
it. Unless you need to
Yeah.
go to the hospital, I don't wanna hear it. Get back up and do it again, you know?
Oh, I love it.
Have, like, that very, like, gentle parenting. That's not me. I'm like, uh-uh.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, everybody's different, but
yeah,
I don't have kids. I just have my godson and, all my friends' kids that I've, helped with and stuff, and my cousins, and it's just the same thing. It's, they've never been coddled. It's always been like, let's be real here. Like,
mhm,
here's what you got to do. And it's always that kind of tough love without being like harsh. You
and
can
that's
still be,
of course, you can push it a little bit, but there's
yeah,
obviously no one to reel it in, and but yeah,
yeah.
I feel like the fake tears don't really slide by me. I see through it all. I'm like, I've done this a long time doing what I do for work. I'm like, I don't buy
Yeah,
it. You know?
yeah.
So, yeah. And I feel like it'll be that much better once her brother can be on it because then it's like they have each other to be competitive with, and
Yeah.
I like that she's a girl and she's older, so she has the advantage over being a girl and not the younger one,
Mhm.
since boys are just I mean, he's a boy and he's just like he would just go if he could.
Yeah,
So it'll be really fun to get those 2 out there together, so, yeah.
that'll be awesome, and then all of you guys out together on the trail, that'll be cool.
Yes, I know, can't wait. I'm definitely looking forward to those years ahead and what's next for them and for us as a family, so,
That's
you know?
cool. I love it, I
Yeah.
love it. Well, is there anybody you wanna shout out or say hi to in your last few moments?
Um, just everybody who's putting themselves out there, keep doing what you're doing, show the good, the bad, the ugly. We love to see it all because, we all started somewhere. So,
Mhm.
I feel like who cares about the keyboard warriors that, like, I feel like hold people back from putting stuff out there. Yeah, I think it's a really cool community and we outweigh any of the negative people out there. So yeah, everybody just keep being badasses on your bike and get it done and do the race. If you're thinking about it, no, just do it. Go for it.
Just do it. I
Yeah,
love it. I love it. This is the running theme now, the last couple people that I've talked to. They're like, just do it. Just do
just do it. Yeah, don't think, just do it.
it. I love it. Well, thank you again so much for your time.
Yeah,
I'm
thank you
super
for
stoked
having
for
me.
you to come back
So
and give an
fun.
update.
Yes. This was scary for me. This was scarier than, I don't know, doing like, yeah.
Well, you did great. I mean, you
Yeah.
didn't seem like you were scared, so
No,
that's good.
yeah. No, super fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And we will see you in a few months then,
Yeah,
hopefully for the
yeah.
update.
Update. Stay
All
tuned.
right. Bye.
Bye.